Standing at the east end of the National Mall, the United States Capitol is not just an architectural masterpiece, but the very heart of American democracy. Its white dome rises high above Washington, a powerful symbol that has witnessed the nation's greatest debates, decisions, and struggles for more than 2 centuries. Construction of the Capitol began in 1793 when President George Washington laid the cornerstone. The original design was a modest neoclassical structure, but over time, as the country grew, so did the building. The most dramatic change came during the Civil War, when the enormous cast iron dome was added. At a time when the nation was divided, President Abraham Lincoln insisted that work continue on the dome, believing its completion would symbolize unity and hope for the future. Today, that dome remains one of the most recognizable landmarks in the world. Inside, the Capitol is filled with stories and symbolism. The rotunda, with its soaring ceiling, features the famous painting known as the Apotheosis of Washington, which depicts the nation's first president ascending to the heavens as a godlike figure. Surrounding him are scenes that blend mythology, history, and American ideals. The walls of the rotunda also showcase historic canvases that tell the story of the country's founding, from the signing of the Declaration of Independence to the landing of the Pilgrims. Beneath the rotunda lies the crypt, a space originally intended to house George Washington's tomb. But Washington's will specified that he remain at Mount Vernon, so the crypt is empty, giving rise to one of the Capitol's most famous myths that his body was secretly moved here. The truth is that Washington never left Mount Vernon, but the story still lingers in the imagination of visitors. Over the years, the Capitol has been the stage for pivotal moments in American history. Inaugurations are held on its steps, laws are debated and passed in its chambers, and state funerals have honored presidents beneath its dome. Each corner of the building tells a story, from the Whispering Gallery in Statuary Hall to the hidden passageways that once carried messages during wartime. Today, the Capitol is open to the public, inviting millions of visitors each year to walk its halls, explore its art, and stand in the spaces where history continues to unfold. More than just a building, it is a living monument to the enduring experiment of democracy. At 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, the White House stands American Samoa, one of the most recognized buildings in the world. More than just the residence of the American president, it is a working office, a museum of history, and a living symbol of the nation's leadership. The story begins in 1792 when the site was chosen and an Irish-born architect, James Hoban, won the competition to design the building. George Washington oversaw its planning, but he never lived here. It was John Adams, the nation's second president, who became the first resident in 1800. At that time, the building was unfinished and sparsely furnished, but it quickly became the center of political and social life in the new capital. One of the most dramatic moments in its history came during the War of 1812. In 1814, British troops set fire to the White House, reducing much of it to charred ruins. Legend has it that Dolly Madison, wife of President James Madison, saved a famous portrait of George Washington before fleeing the flames. Afterward, the house was rebuilt, and its exterior was painted white to cover the fire damage, giving rise to the name that endures today. Inside, the White House is both grand and functional. The East Room has hosted everything from weddings to bill signings, while the Blue Room is traditionally used for receiving guests. The Oval Office, perhaps the most famous workspace in the world, is where presidents make decisions that shape history. Beneath the public rooms lies a maze of tunnels, bunkers, and secret spaces, some built during World War II for security. Stories of these hidden passages have fueled countless myths about what lies beneath the building. The White House has also been a home filled with personal stories. Children have played on its lawns, pets have roamed its halls, and family celebrations have marked its calendar. Abraham Lincoln's time here is remembered not only for the Civil War but also for the tales of his spirit. Many visitors and staff have claimed to sense his presence in the building, making the White House one of the most famous haunted residences in America. Through triumphs and crises, the White House has endured as the backdrop to American history. Every president since John Adams has left a mark here, whether through renovations, traditions, or the policies shaped inside its walls. For visitors who glimpse it from the gates or lucky guests who step inside, the White House remains more than a residence. It is a stage upon which the story of the nation continues to unfold. At the western end of the National Mall, overlooking the reflecting pool, the Lincoln Memorial rises like a temple of democracy. Dedicated in 1922, this neoclassical monument honors the 16th President, Abraham Lincoln, whose leadership preserved the Union during the Civil War and ended the institution of slavery. Its design was inspired by ancient Greek temples, symbolizing ideals of justice and freedom that Lincoln fought to uphold. Inside, the memorial is dominated by the massive seated statue of Lincoln, carved from Georgia marble. The figure is 19 feet tall and rests within a chamber that gives a sense of solemn quiet. Lincoln's gaze is fixed eastward, as if looking across the mall toward the Capitol, the very building he once struggled to keep united. On the walls are inscriptions of two of Lincoln's most powerful speeches, the Gettysburg Address and his second inaugural address. Both texts capture the essence of sacrifice, equality, and reconciliation. Many visitors pause here not only to admire the architecture but also to reflect on the words that shaped the nation's identity. The memorial has also been a stage for history. In 1939, when singer Marian Anderson was barred from performing at Constitution Hall because of segregation, she delivered a stirring concert on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial before a crowd of 75,000 people. Decades later, in 1963, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. stood on these same steps to deliver his I Have a Dream speech, forever linking the memorial to the civil rights movement. The Lincoln Memorial has inspired myths as well. Some say the sculptor intentionally positioned Lincoln's hands to form the letters A and L in sign language, representing his initials. Others claim Lincoln's statue rises from his seat in moments of national crisis, a legend that adds a mystical quality to the solemn figure. While these myths are unproven, they reflect the way people continue to see Lincoln as a guardian of the nation. Day or night, the memorial has a unique atmosphere. At sunrise, the marble glows with golden light, while in the evening, the illuminated statue seems to radiate a quiet strength. For millions of visitors each year, the Lincoln Memorial is more than a monument. It is a place of reflection, memory, and hope, reminding us of the enduring power of Lincoln's vision for a united and just America. Rising 555 feet above the National Mall, the Washington Monument is the tallest stone structure in the world and one of the most iconic symbols of the United States. Built to honor George Washington, the nation's first president, it stands as a bold statement of gratitude to the man who led the country through revolution and helped shape its early foundations. The idea for a monument to Washington was first proposed in the late 18th century, but political disagreements and a lack of funding delayed its construction for decades. The cornerstone was laid in 1848, yet work soon stalled, leaving the monument only partially built. For years, it stood as an unfinished stump on the mall, a silent reminder of division in the young nation. Finally, after the Civil War, construction resumed, and the monument was completed in 1884. Its dedication the following year drew enormous crowds who saw it not only as a memorial to a leader but as a symbol of national unity. The structure itself is a marvel. Made of marble, granite, and bluestone gneiss, its smooth obelisk shape was inspired by ancient Egypt, chosen to represent timeless strength. If you look closely, you can see a change in color about a third of the way up, where the earlier stone meets the later construction, a visible mark of its interrupted history. Inside, the monument contains nearly 200 commemorative stones donated by states, cities, and organizations, each etched with messages of honor. Some of these stones sparked controversy at the time, including one sent by the Pope, which anti-Catholic groups tried to destroy. The completed monument, however, absorbed these tensions and became a unifying landmark. Over the years, the Washington Monument has gathered its share of myths. One popular story claims that a secret time capsule was placed beneath its cornerstone, containing relics from the founding era. While records confirm items were buried there, no one has opened it, adding an air of mystery. Another tale suggests that the monument is perfectly aligned with celestial bodies, giving it hidden symbolic power, though historians see this as more legend than fact. Visitors who ascend to the top are rewarded with sweeping views of Washington, D.C., stretching from the Capitol to the Lincoln Memorial. By day, the monument dominates the skyline, and by night, when it glows against the dark sky, it feels like a silent guardian watching over the Capitol. More than just an obelisk of stone, the Washington Monument is a tribute to enduring ideals of leadership, unity, and the vision of the man who set the nation on its course. On the National Mall, the Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum takes visitors on a journey from the first attempts at flight to the farthest reaches of the universe. Opened in 1976, it quickly became one of the most visited museums in the world, offering a front-row seat to the history of aviation and space exploration. Among its most celebrated treasures is the Wright brothers' 1903 Flyer, the first powered aircraft to achieve controlled flight. Just a few steps away sits the Spirit of St. Louis. The plane Charles Lindbergh flew solo across the Atlantic in 1927, a daring achievement that changed the way people viewed air travel. The museum also houses the Apollo 11 Command Module, Columbia, which carried astronauts to the Moon in 1969 and returned them safely to Earth. Standing before these artifacts, visitors are reminded of the courage and innovation that shaped modern history. The museum is more than a collection of machines. It tells stories of exploration, discovery, and human ambition. In one gallery, you can trace the dramatic race to the Moon between the United States and the Soviet Union, complete with spacesuits worn by astronauts and lunar rock samples brought back from the surface of another world. In another, you can follow the evolution of military aviation, from fragile biplanes to supersonic jets. Each exhibit connects technology with the people who dreamed, designed, and dared to fly. Legends and myths also surround the museum. One long-standing story suggests that the Apollo 11 command module still carries traces of moon dust that escaped NASA's cleaning efforts, sparking curiosity about what secrets it might hold. Another tale whispers of ghostly figures seen near the Wright Flyer, as if the pioneering brothers still watch over their fragile invention. While these myths remain unproven, they add a sense of wonder to an already extraordinary place. What makes the museum so powerful is how it connects past, present, and future. Its IMAX theater and planetarium let visitors experience the thrill of space travel, while interactive exhibits inspire children to imagine themselves as future explorers. For many, it is the first place where the dream of flight feels real and within reach. The Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum is not just about planes and rockets. It is about the human drive to push beyond limits, to look up at the sky and wonder what lies beyond. For every visitor who walks through its doors, it offers both a history lesson and an invitation to keep dreaming of new frontiers. The Smithsonian National Museum of American History is a place where the story of the United States is told through objects, ideas, and memories. Opened in 1964, the museum has grown into one of the most important cultural institutions in the country, drawing millions of visitors each year to explore the artifacts that shaped American identity. One of its greatest treasures is the original Star-Spangled Banner, the massive flag that flew over Fort McHenry during the War of 1812 and inspired Francis Scott Key to write the national anthem. Carefully preserved and displayed in a darkened chamber, the flag is a powerful reminder of resilience and patriotism. Visitors often fall into hushed silence as they stand before it, realizing they are in the presence of a true piece of history. The museum's collections reach into every aspect of American life. Here you can see Abraham Lincoln's top hat, worn on the night of his assassination, and the lunch counter from Greensboro, North Carolina, where young black students staged a sit-in that helped ignite the civil rights movement. There are exhibits dedicated to transportation, science, politics, music, and even pop culture, with objects ranging from early automobiles to Dorothy's ruby slippers from The Wizard of Oz. Each gallery connects past events to the everyday lives of ordinary people. The museum also carries stories and myths that fascinate visitors. Some whisper about Lincoln's hat being unlucky, pointing out that he wore it on the night of his death. Others believe the Greensboro lunch counter holds a lingering energy from the courage of those who sat there, a spiritual echo of determination that still resonates in the air. While these tales remain unverified, they deepen the sense of connection people feel when encountering such artifacts. Beyond the famous objects, the museum highlights the country's innovation and progress. Exhibits on American inventions showcase everything from early telegraphs to the first personal computers, reminding us of the spirit of creativity that continues to shape the nation. Temporary exhibitions often bring new perspectives, exploring issues of democracy, diversity, and the challenges of the modern age. What makes the museum so compelling is its ability to bring history close to the visitor. Instead of words on a page, here history is lived through the objects people once touched, wore, or fought for. It is a place where past and present meet, offering both lessons and inspiration for the future. The Smithsonian National Museum of American History is not just a museum of artifacts. It is a museum of people, of ideals, and of a shared journey. Every visit offers a reminder that the American story is still being written, and that each generation adds its own chapter. The Smithsonian National Museum of Natural History is one of the most visited museums in the world, a place where science, history, and wonder come together under one roof. Opened in 1910, its grand Beaux-Arts architecture welcomes millions of visitors each year, inviting them to explore the story of life on Earth and the mysteries of the universe. Inside the museum, one of the most iconic sights greets visitors immediately in the rotunda, an enormous African elephant named Henry, towering over the space as if frozen in motion. From there, galleries spread outward, each one filled with discoveries. The Dinosaur Hall brings prehistoric giants to life, with towering fossils that tell the story of evolution and extinction. Nearby, the Ocean Hall reveals the mysteries of the deep, including a life-size model of a North Atlantic whale. Among the museum's most famous treasures is the Hope Diamond, a brilliant blue gemstone that has passed through the hands of kings, merchants, and collectors for centuries. Weighing over 45 carats, it has inspired both admiration and fear. Legends claim it carries a curse, bringing misfortune or tragedy to those who own it. While scientists focus on its unique chemistry and rare color, the myth of the curse continues to capture the imagination of visitors who gaze into its glowing blue depths. The museum also holds countless natural wonders that span the globe. From dazzling gems and minerals to rare insects, ancient mummies, and cultural artifacts, its collections number in the millions. Each exhibit connects visitors to the story of Earth itself, whether through a meteorite that traveled across space before landing on our planet or through displays that explore the diversity of human cultures. Myths and stories often swirl around the museum. Some visitors claim the building is haunted, especially near the Egyptian mummies, where strange sensations and unexplained sounds have been reported. Others believe the Hope Diamond's curse still lingers within its glass case. Whether true or not, these tales add a sense of mystery that heightens the museum's atmosphere of discovery. What makes the National Museum of Natural History so powerful is its ability to spark curiosity. Children and adults alike leave with new questions about the world and the universe. Every gallery reminds us how small we are in the vast history of life, and yet how connected we are to all of it. For more than a century, this museum has been more than a collection of objects. It has been a place of wonder, learning, and imagination, where each visit opens the door to new stories about our planet and ourselves. On the edge of the tidal basin, surrounded by water and cherry trees, stands the Jefferson Memorial, a monument dedicated to Thomas Jefferson, the principal author of the Declaration of Independence and the third President of the United States. Completed in 1943, the memorial reflects Jefferson's passion for classical architecture, drawing inspiration from the Pantheon in Rome. Its dome, columns, and open rotunda create an atmosphere of timeless dignity, blending perfectly with its natural surroundings. At the center of the memorial is a bronze statue of Jefferson, standing tall and resolute. He holds a copy of the Declaration of Independence, symbolizing his enduring role as a champion of liberty and human rights. Around the interior walls are inscriptions taken from Jefferson's writings, words that speak to freedom, education, and democracy. Among them is the famous line from the Declaration itself, reminding all who visit that all men are created equal. The memorial is not only a tribute to Jefferson but also a stage for history. It was dedicated during World War II, a time when the ideals Jefferson represented were being tested across the globe. President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who spoke at the dedication, linked Jefferson's vision of freedom to the struggles of his own era. Since then, the site has become a gathering place during moments of reflection and celebration, particularly each spring when the cherry blossoms bloom and frame the memorial in a breathtaking display. Stories and myths surround the memorial as well. Some visitors claim that if you stand in just the right spot beneath the dome, Jefferson seems to be looking directly at the White House across the water, as though keeping watch over the government he helped to build. Others note the unusual bronze coloring of the statue, which was originally meant to be marble but changed to metal during wartime shortages. This detail has led to speculation about hidden meanings, though most historians see it as a practical choice shaped by history. At night, when the memorial is lit and reflected in the still waters of the tidal basin, the scene feels almost otherworldly. The columns glow softly, the dome shines white, and Jefferson's figure appears both solemn and alive, as if ready to step down from his pedestal to remind visitors of the principles on which the nation was founded. The Jefferson Memorial is more than a structure of stone and bronze. It is a place of memory and inspiration, where words and ideals still echo across the water. For millions of visitors each year, it stands as a reminder that freedom and democracy are not fixed achievements but continuing responsibilities, carried forward by each generation. The Library of Congress is not only the largest library in the world but also one of the most beautiful. Located just across from the U.S. Capitol, it holds more than 170 million items, from books and manuscripts to maps, photographs, films, and recordings. Yet beyond its vast collections, the library is also a masterpiece of architecture and art, a place where knowledge is celebrated as a national treasure. The story begins in 1800 when President John Adams signed a law establishing a library for Congress with just a few hundred books. In 1814, during the War of 1812, British troops set fire to the Capitol, destroying the library's original collection. To rebuild it, Thomas Jefferson offered his personal library of over 6,000 volumes, which became the foundation of today's institution. Jefferson believed that knowledge was essential to democracy, and his gift set the tone for what the Library of Congress would become. The centerpiece is the Thomas Jefferson Building, opened in 1897. Inside, visitors are greeted by the Great Hall, an awe-inspiring space filled with marble columns, stained glass, mosaics, and murals that celebrate human creativity. At the heart of the library lies the main reading room, with its soaring dome, majestic statues, and long rows of desks bathed in warm light. Even for those who do not hold a reader's card, looking into this space from the viewing gallery is unforgettable. Among the library's priceless treasures are an original Gutenberg Bible, one of the first books ever printed in Europe, and a rough draft of the Declaration of Independence in Jefferson's own handwriting. There are rare maps that chart the discovery of the Americas, personal papers of presidents, and recordings that preserve the voices and music of generations past. Myths and stories also surround the library. Some visitors believe that secret tunnels connected to the Capitol, carrying not only people but also hidden knowledge. Others say the grand murals and statues hold coded messages about the founding ideals of the nation. While many of these stories are more legend than fact, they reflect the sense of mystery the building inspires. Walking through the Library of Congress, it is easy to feel that you are not just in a building, but in a temple of knowledge. Every wall and every ceiling celebrates the power of ideas. For scholars, lawmakers, and visitors alike, it is both a working library and a monument to human achievement. The Library of Congress is more than shelves of books. It is the keeper of memory, imagination, and history, offering every visitor a reminder that knowledge is the cornerstone of freedom and progress. On the National Mall, the National Gallery of Art stands as a sanctuary for art lovers and history enthusiasts alike. Established in 1937 through a generous gift from philanthropist Andrew W. Mellon, the museum is home to one of the most significant art collections in the world, spanning from the Middle Ages to the modern era. Its twin buildings, connected by an underground concourse, blend classical and modern architecture, creating a seamless experience that celebrates both the past and the present. Visitors enter the West Building to encounter masterpieces by European artists, from Leonardo da Vinci and Raphael to Rembrandt and Vermeer. The halls are filled with paintings, sculptures, and decorative arts that tell the story of centuries of human creativity. In the East Building, modern and contemporary works showcase movements such as abstract expressionism, surrealism, and minimalism, featuring artists like Jackson Pollock, Mark Rothko, and Pablo Picasso. Walking through the galleries is like traveling through time, witnessing the evolution of artistic vision. The museum is not only about the art itself but also the stories behind it. Many works arrived through extraordinary circumstances. Some were saved from wars and political upheaval, while others were gifts from collectors whose lives were intertwined with the art they cherished. The museum's sculpture garden, opened in 1999, has become a vibrant space where art meets nature, offering sculptures that invite reflection and contemplation amid seasonal changes. Legends and myths add another layer to the National Gallery experience. Some claim that certain paintings contain hidden messages, political commentary, or even secret symbols left by the artists. Others whisper that late at night, when the museum is closed, the statues and figures seem to take on a life of their own, as if the energy of the artworks lingers long after visitors depart. While these tales are unverified, they enhance the sense of mystery and wonder that permeates the gallery. The National Gallery of Art is also committed to education and accessibility, offering programs, lectures, and digital resources that allow people around the world to explore its collections. For visitors walking through its halls, the museum provides not only visual delight but also an invitation to engage with culture, history, and human creativity in profound ways. More than a repository of paintings and sculptures, the National Gallery of Art is a place where ideas, history, and imagination converge. It reminds us that art is not just a reflection of life but a force that shapes the way we see the world and understand ourselves.